Inside America's Boardrooms, the informational show for board members and corporate secretaries. Brought to you with Knowledge Partners, Diligent, PwC, Center for Audit Quality, the Conference Board, and corporate board member. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, Donnelly Financial Solutions, and the Society for Corporate Governance.
Welcome to this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter, the CEO of Boardroom Resources and the co-founder and editor-at-large of Corporate Board Member Magazine. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. Today we're going to be talking about cybersecurity, forming and serving on your board's cyber committee. And joining me is somebody that knows more than just a little bit about this is Kathy Misunas, who's a board member with Tech Data Corp and Boingo Wireless Inc. So Kathy, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And
happy to be here.
you serve as the chair for Tech Data of their committee, which I'll ask you to explain in a second.
Okay.
After that. But you also serve on the committee of Boingo Wireless on the cyber committee. So first of all, before we start and I dig into those committees, tell the audience a little bit about what they both are so that there's a context to our discussion.
Okay. Tech Data is a Fortune 83 company that nobody knows about, but we're a distributor of technology. So think of it as vendors, supply their manufactured printers, software, or whatever to us. We then coordinate with the resellers to provide not just pick, pack, and ship, which is where the company started, many years ago, but all sorts of solutions now. So we actually combine components and provide cloud solutions and things like that. As far as Boingo, they are a creator of networks, so Wi-Fi, cellular, and you might have seen us from a consumer standpoint in airports before. Right now, we're more focused on the military, on arenas, stadiums, still airports, but not consumer direct as much as we are B2B.
So good. So we're talking in both cases tech-related organizations. So you serve, as I mentioned, in Boingo, the committee is called the Cybersecurity Committee, mm-hmm. and on Tech Data, it's called Cyber Tech Committee. So talk about each of those, their similarities, why they were formed, and because I think that's important, and then I might have some follow-up on that.
Okay. Tech Data, and actually it's almost 5 years ago, we started the Cybersecurity Committee, so we were a little bit ahead of the curve versus most companies. And the need came from the fact that we do have so many vendors and resellers who are accessing our website, and we had the combination of obviously our own people selling from our website and helping the customers through the sales process, but we had a lot of outside third-party people accessing our systems also. So we wanted to be sure that we had kind of belts and suspenders, if you will, associated with any type of incidents or events that could occur, because it was getting more and more popular even back then with phishing and trying to engage, whether it was the retailer or our own employee, with clicking on a link that would take them into who knows where, and who knows what would happen. So over time, though, as we got our arms around the cyber portion of it, that committee is now called the Cyber Tech Committee, because we had business issues that occurred because of mergers and acquisitions, other things that were happening in the enterprise that required a little bit more attention than just the full board was able to give to very important risk topics in the business. In the case of Boingo, that started actually a little bit for the same reason. We had so many external people accessing our capabilities that we wanted to make sure that we lessened the risk as much as we could associated with having the right not just processes and procedures, but the right type of technology solutions in place that would thwart a possible attack on us, and on the other hand, get in front of the curb to then alleviate and mediate and remediate anything that might happen.
Yeah. So we're seeing more and more of this where companies are, not just in cyber, but in risk in general and others, that are saying, okay, I'm not going to add this to my audit committee. Okay, their agenda's full, their agenda's growing, compliance, they have compliance issues, financial reporting. We both know that audit agendas are full agendas.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we are seeing this, and it seems from where I sit that boards that are expanding their committees to focus on things that are critical to the company makes a lot of sense.
No, I think that's right. And to me, it is all about risk. It is looking at that whole risk agenda that the general board, looks at and saying, what are the components that can really, put us in the weeds if, we're not paying proper attention to them. So I think, forming a committee, not every company is the same, and not every company has the same needs, but even if it's for a particular amount of time, say a year or two, that you put the focus on this, that everybody on the board, all the directors feel comfortable, that they know what the issues are, they know how they're being addressed. If the right talent is available, if the budget, is being properly, assigned to getting the solutions completed, it's really important to know, I think, as a director, that this is, happening.
That's a very interesting point. It doesn't have to be forever, because we may well find that we have a new risk around the corner that just like cyber popped up, because everybody's inventing new technologies and new things all the time. So who knows what AI and Bitcoin and all those things might generate in the way.
Internet of Things. I mean, just look at, so some things might continue because your company is intimately involved with those, products and services and so on. But in other cases, a business might not be involved in some of the other things.
So when we were talking right before we went on air, you had mentioned that one of the things that was so telling to you that you wanted to make sure you made a point of was the crisis plan, that while the company may have a crisis plan, you better think about it in a cyber perspective.
I cannot say anything that is a more important walk away than that, because quite truthfully, a lot of times the board doesn't look at their crisis communication plan very carefully to begin with. I've been on a lot of boards over time, so I'm not specifically talking about Tech Data or Boingo. But the board should really be involved in looking at how the crisis communication plan, if it's up to date, if it's accurate, and in this case, what would they do if there really was a front page, of the journal issue? Do they have the right people in the company that know, what their cyber plan, was about? What the external world, needs to know about this, when they need to know it. Is the legal department involved? Is an external, communication company involved? Those things are all different for a cyber issue than they are for, the CEO got hit by the bus, which is how most people think of their crisis communication plan. This is a whole different set of circumstances, people involved, answers, questions, FAQs than you have in your normal plan. Well,
we love takeaways, and that was a great takeaway. So
it's not easy, though. I'll tell you, to focus on it.
Yeah.
But it's important.
We never say that any of these things are easy, okay? But I think having the opportunity to talk about them hopefully will make others address that on their boards.
I hope so.
And the goal is more effective boards. So I want to thank you for taking the time to contribute your piece of that plan to success. And again, appreciate the time.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. That will conclude this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next week when we take another look at a critical topic that'll help you be a better board member or committee member. So we'll see you then.
Join us again next week for Inside America's Boardrooms. Brought to you with knowledge partners Diligent, PwC, Center for Audit Quality, the Conference Board, and Corporate Board Member. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, Donnelly Financial Solutions, and the Society for Corporate Governance.